Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. My name is Samuel Okeshisi. Thank you for joining the Spirit of Freedom Ministry, or channel as you may call it. And I started a series about 2 weeks ago, which is about my life testimony, my life story, which is my testimony. I know testimony is just to encourage one another, to let you know that the God that did it for me then, now, is also the same God that will do it for you now, whatever you are going through. So the goal of the testimony is not to magnify my relationship with God or my humble beginning, but it's just, as I said, to exhort, encourage, or comfort you in your valleys and let you know that the mountaintop is still possible. Because I have been there, and I won't say I'm at the mountaintop now. It's a process, it's a journey. So the mountaintop is still possible for each and every one of us, no matter, depending on what mountaintop means to you. My mountaintop is different from your mountaintop. So your goal is to find and discover your mountaintop based on where God has decided to take you before you were born. Discovering the purpose of God for your life, that is the mountaintop. And when you achieve it, even if you are in the valley now, then you can testify to the goodness of God and encourage those that are coming behind you also that you have been there. You have fought the good fight of faith and you have been victorious. So there are some valleys I experienced in my lifetime, especially on my journey to where I am now. So I've been led, I've been inspired to share them so that I can encourage those that are coming behind me. It's not because I'm better. It's not because I know God more than you. It's just because, as at that time, God decided to show his power, and to display his glory in those circumstances. So the third part, which is part 3, is the traveling process. My traveling process from Nigeria to United States of America, where I am currently. I eventually traveled to the United States in 2016, December. I left Nigeria December 9th, 2016. And I arrived at the United States in the morning of 2016, December 10th. So it was a night flight. So I left 2016, December 9th, and I arrived December 10th, 2016, the next day. But the journey, I would say, began 2015. This is how it began. When I finished my bachelor's degree or first degree in Nigeria in a school called FUNAB, Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, 2013 was when I wrote my final paper. 2014, I started a program that every fresh graduate in Nigeria goes through. It's called the NYSC, which is the National Youth Service Corps. It is compulsory, mandatory, to go through this 1-year program in the name of serving the government. But so you will be posted to different states from the states you are familiar with, just any state possible. But when you are sent to this particular state, you go through a camping period for like 3 weeks, I think. So it's more like a boot camp for like soldiers. So in this 3 week, you learn some military training and all of that, drilling and stuff like that. So it was in this 3-week boot camp, as I would call it, that I met a guy. I will say his name. His name is Imibio Philip, or Philip Imibio. Anyway, I will try not to disclose so many names in this testimony and some events, really, just to keep their names private and give people their privacy. They deserve to have their privacy, right? Anyway, so I met him. Not like we became close, but he knew I existed. I knew he existed for that short period, And after the boot camp was over, after 3 weeks, everybody was like assigned to different I was assigned to a government college to teach mathematics, and he was assigned to somewhere else too, I don't know. So that was 2014. The program ended 2015. It's a year program. So 2015, I think either March or February or thereabout, the program ended. Then in 2015, later, just keep listening. I met one guy 2015 and 14 during my NYSC program. Then 2015, around September, after the program, I started working at this school, a private school. I won't mention the name of the school. I started working there. I was a math teacher for high school students. So after I began working there, my brother, my immediate older brother, Pastor James Olokeshuse, he has a church. He still has a church. So in that church, the anniversary then was in November. Till date, they still do it in November. So I think early November, probably November 4th, something like that. So in 2015, November, around November 4th, the church was having the anniversary. And the guest pastor, Pastor Bimbo, came over as he was preaching. I was interpreting. So he was speaking in Yoruba, our local language then. I was interpreting it to English. I was an interpreter. So I was standing beside him as he on the altar as he was preaching to the people. And as he was preaching, he just looked at me. And he said, Samuel, the Lord wants to take you to America. So he saw me prophetically that the Lord told him that I will travel to the United States of America. And he gave me an instruction. He said God wanted me to sow a seed to my brother's ministry. I think it was 5,000 naira then. So that I should give a seed, like an offering to God, to perfect that prophecy. Immediately at that moment, I didn't have 5,000 naira. At that moment, even though I was teaching, of course, expenses are here and here and here. I didn't have it at that moment, probably because I've not been paid the salary at that time or something. Unfortunately, I could not pay immediately. So I think a week or so thereabout, when I got paid and I have received my salary and I was walking home, I was going home, and I thought in my mind, this is a good time to pay this 5,000 naira that the prophet said I should. Then I called my pastor brother, could you please come and meet me so that I can give you this 5,000? But in my mind, after I called him, I said, God, I wish it was the prophet that gave that prophecy that I would hand the money to pray, not just hand the money to, but just to pray after, sowing the seed, that he was the one the Lord used. He said I should give it to my pastor brother's ministry, which I was planning to. I just wish after giving it to my pastor brother's ministry or my pastor brother, I would just wish he prayed, because I was just thinking that in my mind, And when my pastor brother came and I handed him the money and he left, this was an area where there was no way that man, the pastor that prophesied, could just appear. It's like you being prophesied on in one state and you walk almost close to another state, and that same man, as you are thinking about it, the moment your pastor, my pastor brother left, just like 10 minutes, 15 minutes after, as I was still going home, on still that same location, that area, as I was still going home, then he walked past. I was like, Pastor Bimbo, what are you doing here? Oh, there's this traffic here. The traffic is too much. I had to just get out of the public vehicle. I had to walk down so that I can just, like a shortcut and all of that. I was like, wow, I was just thinking to God that I would love you to pray for me after I have given the seed that you said. And he said, wow, that is good. He just said a simple prayer. Your faith will confirm what I have prophesied. Just that simple. And I believed it. That was a supernatural coincidence. There is no way that could have happened if not that God saw my heart. And he said, okay, I will do what you thought. So while I was teaching in this same school, February 2016, I was teaching math and I became an house master. The school has a hostel where students lived. So I was the master in charge of the student. I had a colleague then who was a female, who I would say house mistress, you understand? So I was the housemaster, and being the housemaster, supervising these children, I noticed this particular girl that is kind of like isolated. They might say a little weird in her own way. I love her. So I was trying to like, are you okay? Is everything fine? And all that. Before you know it, I was supporting her emotionally and being nice to her, even when she was kind of a little isolated. And then I got to know that she has a sister in United States of America. She probably doesn't want me to say it. But anyway, so she said she has a sister in America and all that. And I said, oh, wow. I don't mind going to America too for my master's. And she said, yeah, you can tell my mom. And when the mom came, I told the mom. And the mom said, okay, let me talk to my daughter. Because our daughter finished from that school, Western Illinois University. So she said, let me talk to my daughter. And she talked to her daughter. And daughter said, that is fine. Let's connect each other. So she gave me the daughter's phone number, and we exchanged probably WhatsApp or something. And that was how the process began. But she said she had graduated from that school. So, but she would link me to someone who was still in the school. So the person would be the best person to help me, give me guidance, because the person was still in the school at that time. Lo and behold, when she gave me the contacts of the person in that school, it was Philip Imibio that I met when I was doing my NYSC program about 2 years before. A guy I just casually met, but I saw his face on WhatsApp when I was like, this is Philip. And Amatola was like, do you know him? I said, yeah, he was the guy I met. So God took me to serve at Ekiti State then, just to meet Philip. And then he would now use that same Philip for me to help and guide me, coming with the processing and admission and all of that. So that was another side. Synchronicity, that's what they say. Supernatural coincidence. But if you are sensitive to the spirit, you will understand that this is not just coincidence. This is the hand of God. Okay, let's go. So after that, then the process began. And you had to write a test of English for foreign language and all of that. It's called TOEFL. On the day I was going to pay for my TOEFL, for my transcript, sorry. Not that, for my transcript. The day I was going, because I hired this company, Exit or whatever they call themselves, ETX Nigeria. Yeah. I was going to pay. I was robbed. The guy that was sitting beside me in the public vehicle in Nigeria stole my money. I think 40,000 naira at that time. And I was like, oh, this devil is just trying to discourage me. Then I went back home, I raised money, and I went back again and I did it. Also, the TOEFL test of English that I had to write according to the policy of the college then, when I first wrote TOEFL, few days after, we were told that the exam that everybody wrote at that center, TOEFL center in Lagos, was cancelled because there was a something malfunctioned and system malfunction, all of that. We were out to write TOEFL again in another state eventually. I wrote it in Lagos first, and now eventually I had to go to another state, which was Ibadan then. Ibadan is not a state, it's a city, but on your state anyway. So I had to write that again. So there was so many hiccups, discouragements along the way. And to top it all, as July 28th was the day I was supposed to go for visa, but in the process, the school I was teaching at, the management knew I was processing my master's. And even prior to that, they knew one way or another. Of course, there are spies everywhere. I won't mention the spy, but I was a spy that gave them that information. And after a while, and I was close to the proprietress, the owner of the school. And I was hoping that she would be able to assist me with a particular document like that. But she was like, I don't have. I'm not, even if I have, I probably won't give it to you. But the way our facial expression just shows that you, this poor boy, what are you going to America to do? That kind of thing. And before I knew it, like a month or thereabout, before my visa date, I was laid off indirectly. You know, we have to plan for next term, and since there is uncertainty about you coming back and all of that, we just want to work with people that we know are committed and are here to stay. And before you know it, I was laid off, and that was where I was making money to finance this project. Then I went to the visa interview, and on the visa interview, I went with a scanned document from the Western University because the original document did not arrive by mail. So they just sent me one by email. I scanned it and I went there. On the visa day, there was this guy beside me. He was, while we were waiting in the waiting room, he was like, "Oh, you didn't come with the original?" I said, "Yes. The original has not arrived because they sent it by mail. But they also emailed me a same copy of that document just in case. And that is what I have with me." The guy was like, "Oh, don't even try it. Don't even try it. You have to go with the original. It's part of the policy," or stuff like that. It was just discouraging. I said, "Well, we shall see." And I started praying in my spirit. And I went there, doing the interview, talking to this white woman, and she asked several questions. She never even made a comment about the original document or not, because my information are right in they are right in the system. So she could see that everything was legit. But if I had been afraid, probably it would not have been granted. I smiled, she smiled, everything was fine, and I got it. As I was walking out of the interview of the consulate, as I was coming out, and I saw this guy that had gone in before me, the one that was discouraging me. I saw that he was quiet, he was sad. I said, "Was everything okay?" He said, "No, he was denied the interview." This is not to mock him, but it just confirmed the grace that the Lord gave me, that the Lord was actually involved in this process. Anyway, I got the visa. Don't forget, I've been laid off. And then, because after the visa, you needed to raise some money for the flight ticket. You were supposed to be in America before class would start. That was, I think, September 10th or something. September 10th. You shouldn't arrive later than, I think it was August. Later than August 19th, something there about. I could not raise enough flight tickets early enough to get a flight that would cost me to arrive before class would start in America. The ticket was like 500 and something thousand. You know, oh, don't forget, I've been laid off. My older brother went to collect part of his pension. My uncle financially supported. I was just raking money here and there. There was no money for flight ticket. By the time I paid for flight ticket, the time I would arrive would have passed the time the class would start. So even if you risk that, you might not be allowed to enter at the port of entry, because the policy is you shouldn't arrive after the class starts. So I had to defer my admission. Instead of arriving 2016 August, thereabout, for the fall semester, I had to defer it to spring of 2017. And I had to get a flight that now would leave around December. Because don't forget, you need to now get a new document from the school that will show the current date for the spring semester. All of this stuff. So the waiting period from that July to December was like when the Israelites were in the wilderness. The Lord was testing their faith. The Lord tested them and made them hungry to see what was in their heart. It was the longest 5 months of my life. I kept waiting. I was enduring. So I was laid off in the school. I felt comfortable where I was making some money. The owner thought that, okay, since they have blocked the path of him getting money, let's see how the dream is going to come to pass. Let's see how his hope of going for masters we're going to go to pass. Around November, the owner of the school called me. You know, I've left the school. She called. I was like, "Hey, Sam, she saw that my Nigerian number was still working. So that shows that I was still in Nigeria. She called just to confirm. She was like, hey, Americana. She was teasing me. She said, Americana. I said, are you mocking me, ma? She said, no, I'm not mocking you. Why would I mock you? American. I said, well, just for your information, I've got a visa. I didn't have money for the flight ticket, but thank God I was able to pay for it eventually. And that is it. Anyway, she was shocked, but still, she was still happy that I was still in Nigeria. Then that was November. Then later, early December or thereabout, she sent one of the spies to give me a call to still confirm that my Nigerian number was still working. That one too call and as if she cared. When you have the gift of discernment, you will know the thoughts of man. The Bible says, and Jesus knew their thoughts. And it's, before they even say it, Jesus knew their thoughts. And he would answer the question before they even ask the question. He would say something that will nullify their traps before they even did it. Because what? He knew their thoughts. So anyway, as I was speaking, so at December 9th, I was finally able to raise the money. And December 9th, the plane took off and I arrived. Then I was with 20,000 naira. December 9th, when I went to Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos, International Airport, I was with 20,000 naira. So I left Nigeria with 20,000 naira, 2016, December 9th. And when I converted the money to dollars at that time, it was $80. It was $80, isn't it? It was $80. So I came into America December 10th, 2016 with $80. And how did somebody that arrived from Masters with $80 have the Masters? Not only that Masters, he got another Masters, became a US citizen, and settled in America from $80 2016 till date. You want to hear that part? How did that happen? Watch out for part 4. Settling in America. Thank you for your time. I love you so much. See you next time.